Hi everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel where each week we provide principles that will inspire and strengthen couples who want to grow their marriage. In fact, our channel is called The Disciplines for a Growing Marriage. And so if you'd like to know more about how to strengthen your marriage, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So I'm Ray Hilton. I'm the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church in Evanston. I've been there now 11 years, and it's just been a joy for me to work with families, to work with individuals, to work with all kinds of people who want to put deep roots of faith in God. And I get to do that every single day.
And I'm Judith Hilton. I'm a marriage and family therapist here in Illinois, in Wilmette area, Evanston area, and always look forward to working with young adults and couples and singles and individuals that need just some support. And I find such pleasure in doing this.
So, talking about pleasure and talking about joy, Judith, this is what we want to talk about today. That word joy, a three-letter word. It's a very elusive word. In fact, what you and I were talking about earlier was that you can have all the money in the world, and yet your money cannot really buy you joy. And the reason why we say that, it's because of what we're witnessing right now,
Yes.
where all kinds of people have been so beaten up by the pandemic. And who can blame them? We've witnessed just untold numbers of people who have died right here in this country and around the world. This pandemic has disrupted the economies of our world. People are worried about their jobs. People are uncertain as to what the future will look like for them. We have kids who are graduating from college and having difficulties finding work. And so here we are in this season of Christmas. We're just a couple weeks away from Christmas. And you hear the Christmas music and you watch all the commercials on TV and all the Christmas lights. And yet for many people, for many couples, joy is missing, Judith. And unfortunately, there is confusion between the meaning of the word happiness and joy. And I'm wondering if is it necessary to draw a distinction between the two?
Definitely. Joy is a virtue. Joy is not an emotion. And happiness is very fleeting and brings intense pleasure, but it doesn't last because it's conditional. That's why it's called happiness, happening, depending on what's happening. That will determine. So joyfulness is stronger. It's long lasting.
Absolutely.
And it's a lasting state and gives inner peace and contentment.
But we're also saying, though, that joy is an emotion, right?
Yes.
And so you can have a couple who maybe started out 2019, going into 2020, they were filled with joy because things were going well for them. And then a series of life circumstances came upon them, and now they are questioning even their sanity. What do you think are some of the things that will steal joy? So we know joy is not just an emotion. It's actually a choice. It's a virtue, but we're saying that life events can happen to steal people's joy.
Yes, definitely.
So what are some of those things?
Well, Mark Twain said that comparison is the death to joy.
Why is that so?
Well, when we compare ourselves with other people and compare ourselves with other situations, we find ourselves complaining and grumbling and whining. Why don't I have this? Why don't I have that? Rather than saying, I'm going to be, as the scripture says, whatever state I am, there to be content.
Okay.
And so lack of contentment can truly rob you of your joy.
Yeah, so we should then take our eyes off what's happening to other people, whether it's their good fortune, and kind of focus on what we have. What are some other things that steal joy? So it's the lack of contentment.
Well, I guess the same thing would be a gratefulness.
Gratefulness, yeah.
When you're
That
grateful,
attitude of gratitude. What is that
Yes.
saying that says, Judith?
Yes.
Attitude can
Affects
affect your altitude,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How high you go, how long you go, how strong you go can be impacted by your attitude. And the attitude that we're asking people to cultivate right now is that attitude of gratitude.
Yes.
So even though things may not be working according to plan, maybe you have lost your job, maybe there are some uncertainties as to what the future holds, maybe you've lost a loved one, it's still possible but to choose in the midst of all of that to say, but yet I'm going to rejoice and be grateful and be thankful to God. Now, are we saying that's easy?
No, it's not easy.
It's definitely not easy. And maybe there's a third reason why people lose their joy.
Well, usually if a person is a complainer, when we complain a lot, it takes away, it just drains us.
Yeah.
So you'll never see a grumbler that's joyful.
Right.
So if we can stop, complaining and grumbling and, as we said, whining, because sometimes as husbands and wives, we get into this bickering about,
Constant
things.
bickering over
and
money,
yes,
over
yes,
the house, over the kids.
whatever we don't have
Yeah.
most times, then instead of what we have,
Yeah.
that gratefulness, it really, if we are grateful, it really kind of maintains that joy.
So if let's assume that a couple is maybe they're not going through the best experiences right now, but they're choosing. What are some of the benefits that come back to us when we choose to be joyful?
Well, the happiness studies report that happier people tend to live longer.
Yeah.
And so that's one already. And interesting, the couples who are busy working and doing all kinds of other things like that, they're finding now that this COVID has happened,
The
pandemic has happened, that they're finding now that they're doing things together more now and playing games together, they're riding bikes together, they're doing things that they probably because of their job and their job commitments, they weren't able to do some of these things. And now they're finding time to spend time together and it's bringing them joy. So
let's just, Judith, I agree with you 100% because prior to the pandemic, we were all busy running every which way and losing touch with each other. And because of the pandemic, it's brought us closer together. We're spending more time together and hopefully we're doing things together that's promoting joy. So in closing, what are some things people can do to set the conditions within their lives, within their marriage to promote a greater sense of joy?
Well, if you pray together in the midst of this pandemic, I've said that so many times to our viewers, that praying together about the situation, the fears, the anxieties, the dark days, the losses, whatever it is, praying together is going to help you and your family, find joy. Because after you pray and you sometimes even see answers to prayer, it's going to bring you a deep, not just happiness, but a deep longing joy. And then so a meditation, just pulling away and quiet, be still. It can bring you joy. And then getting enough sleep, that's a big one because a lot of times people are not getting enough rest and that robs them of their joy. And then eating right, as a couple, as a family, eating the right kinds of food, because sometimes we eat certain foods that literally drain our energy and drain our emotion and make us kind of low emotionally.
Staying up too late, watching all kinds of programs instead of getting some sleep. And maybe the final thing, Judith, that we can do, I mean, there are many things we can do, but maybe one final thing we would recommend is that we get out of our situation and do something for someone else, right?
Yes, that would definitely be serving. If you
Serving
serve
others.
together, do something together to serve. I believe that's going to really help. I know one couple was doing this thing where they were hanging things on people's door or their neighbors of the apartment on their doors just to say wishing them Merry Christmas and a little gift. And they said how much it gave them such joy by doing that for that couple or for couples and people in their apartment.
So joy is important because it gives you strength. It's almost like gas in the tank. Gives you strength to keep going. And that's our prayer for you guys, that you'll be able to keep going forward in 2021 into 2022 and however long God has for each and every one of us, that your life will overflow with joy because joy brings strength. So that's what we wanted to talk with you about today. And we hope that you will subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so that you can continue to receive this kind of practical information to grow your marriage. All right, Merry Christmas when it comes to you, and a blessed new year, and stay strong, stay joyful.